She boarded the plane quietly, dressed plainly, carrying a worn leather folder that held more than anyone could see. The captain smiled too brightly when his eyes landed on her, the kind of smile that measures, sorts, decides who belongs where. He told her she needed to move seats, cited balance and comfort, words that sounded official until they didn't. The entire cabin watched as she walked to the back, each step louder than it should have been, humiliation dressed up as procedure. But what he didn't know, what no one in that cabin knew, was that she didn't just fly on these planes, she owned them. And sometimes, the universe doesn't bring revenge, it brings receipts. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story doesn't end the way you think. Naomi Carter moved through the airport with practiced calm. Her coat was plain. Her leather folder was worn. She carried herself without apology, but the world still measured her. At the coffee stand, the cashier looked past her. "Next, please," the woman called to the man behind Naomi. Naomi stepped aside. She felt the familiar sting, small and sharp. She swallowed it the way she had done 1,000 times before. She paid for her coffee without comment. The cashier handed her change without meeting her eyes. Naomi walked to her gate and chose a corner seat. From there she could watch people without being watched back. Travelers rushed past her. Some looked tired, some looked angry. No one looked at her twice. She opened her leather folder just enough to see a photograph inside. An older black man stood beside an aircraft. His coveralls were clean. His smile was proud. She closed the folder again. The gate area filled slowly. A businessman took the seat across from her. He spread his belongings wide. Laptop, briefcase, newspaper. His space expanded. Hers contracted. Naomi sipped her coffee. She felt the weight of the day ahead. The scholarship endowment. Her father's name. The ceremony that would honor what the world had refused to honor while he lived. The announcement crackled overhead. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay." Passengers groaned. A woman snapped at her child. A man cursed under his breath. Naomi touched the folder again. It steadied her. It always did. She watched the plane through the window. Floodlights painted it white against the dark sky. It looked clean, professional, safe. But Naomi knew better. She knew what happened in spaces where people believed they could not be seen. She knew how quickly respect disappeared when no one was watching. The announcement came again. "We will begin boarding shortly." Naomi stood. She gathered her things with careful precision. She felt eyes on her, measuring again, deciding who she was allowed to be. She moved toward the boarding line. Her posture was straight. Her face was calm. Inside, she felt the old lesson rising. Endure first, speak later, survive always. The line moved forward. Naomi handed her boarding pass to the gate agent. The woman scanned it without looking up. Naomi stepped onto the jet bridge. The air was cold. Her breath caught for just a moment. Behind her, the gate agent paused. She stared at the screen. Something in her expression shifted, as if recognition was tugging at her. The gate area tightened with impatience. Delays stacked, tempers rose. Naomi watched kindness dissolve under pressure. Tanya Brooks worked the desk with forced cheer. Her smile was professional, her voice was bright, but passengers snapped at her anyway. "This is unacceptable," a man said. "I understand, sir," Tanya said. "We're doing everything we can." "That's not good enough." Tanya's shoulders tensed. She typed faster. She avoided eye contact. She became part of the furniture. Naomi stood near the window. She observed the dance of hierarchy. Who spoke? Who listened? Who was allowed to complain? Mr. Grant Donnelly leaned against a pillar. He was tall, He was loud. He complained about service these days to anyone who would listen. "Standards have dropped," he said to the woman beside him. "You know what I mean." The woman nodded uncomfortably. She looked away. Naomi kept her eyes on the plane. It waited outside, patient and indifferent. Tanya called another passenger to the desk. Her voice cracked slightly. She cleared her throat. Naomi approached when her group was called. She handed over her boarding pass. "Thank you," Naomi said quietly. Tanya looked up. Their eyes met for just a second. Tanya's shoulders softened. The small kindness was oxygen. "You're welcome," Tanya said. Her voice was genuine now. "Have a good flight." Naomi smiled. It was a small gesture, but it landed. Donnelly pushed forward. He didn't wait for his group to be called. He handed his pass to Tanya without a word. Tanya scanned it. She said nothing. Her fingers moved mechanically. Naomi walked down the jet bridge. The air was colder here. The walls felt narrow. She heard footsteps behind her, impatient, entitled. She reached the aircraft door. A flight attendant stood there, smiling. "Welcome aboard," the woman said. Naomi thanked her. She moved into the cabin. The overhead lights were bright. The air smelled recycled. She found her seat. It was comfortable, ordinary, unremarkable to anyone who didn't know her world. She placed her folder on the seat beside her. She adjusted her coat. She buckled her seatbelt. Behind her, Donnelly entered. He paused at her row. He assessed her presence. His eyes swept over her with casual entitlement. Naomi felt it. She didn't look up. Donnelly moved on. He took his seat 2 rows ahead. Naomi stared out the window. The tarmac stretched dark and endless. The floodlights made everything sharp. She heard the cockpit door open. She felt the cabin's mood shift. Captain Richard Hale stepped into the aisle. Elena Price greeted passengers with a professional smile. She wore it deliberately. It was armor. It was survival. She scanned faces for trouble. She looked for drunkenness, aggression, confusion. She found it before it found her. Naomi boarded quietly. She thanked Elena. She moved to her seat without fuss. Elena noticed her. The woman was calm, composed, easy. Donnelly strolled past Naomi's row. He paused. He looked at her again, longer this time. Elena felt the tension. She recognized it. It was the pause before someone complained, the pause before someone demanded. She redirected her attention. She smiled at another passenger. She offered a pillow. She avoided the moment. Naomi settled into her seat. She heard the soft click of seatbelts, the muffled language of hierarchy. Who belonged where? Who had earned their comfort? Who had not? Elena moved through the cabin. She checked overhead bins. She answered questions. She performed care. But her mind tracked the small tensions. The businessman who spoke too loudly. The woman who snapped at her child. Donnelly's lingering gaze. The cockpit door opened. Elena straightened instinctively. Captain Richard Hale stepped into the aisle. He was tall. His uniform was crisp. His expression was confident. The cabin's mood shifted around him. Conversations lowered. Passengers sat straighter. Hale walked slowly. He greeted passengers with easy warmth. "Merry Christmas," he said to a couple. "Happy holidays," he said to a family. His voice was smooth. His smile was practiced. He moved through the space as if he owned it. Elena watched him. She felt the weight of his authority. It pressed down on everything. Hale's eyes swept the cabin. They stopped on Naomi. His expression didn't change, but something in his posture did. He paused. He assessed. Elena saw it. She felt her stomach tighten. Hale approached Naomi's row. He smiled too brightly. Good evening, he said. Naomi looked up. Good evening, Captain. I'm going to need you to move seats, Hale said. His tone was light, conversational. For balance and comfort. Naomi's hands stilled. Is that policy? It's procedure, Hale said. His smile held. Nothing personal. Elena froze. She stood 3 feet away. She heard every word. Naomi's voice was calm. Which policy requires this? Hale's smile tightened. I'm the captain, ma'am. I make those determinations. Elena felt the air change. She knew she should intervene. Soften. Redirect, but her feet wouldn't move. Naomi stood slowly. She gathered her folder. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. But the aisle suddenly felt too narrow. The cabin watched her. Captain Hale stood with easy confidence. He offered holiday greetings that sounded like benevolent decrees. Merry Christmas, he said to the couple in row 5. Safe travels, he said to the businessman in row 7. His eyes stopped on Naomi. She was a detail out of place. He smiled too brightly. Ma'am, I need you to move seats, he said. Naomi looked up from her folder. Why? Balance and comfort, Hale said. The words sounded official. Standard procedure. Naomi's expression didn't change. Is this policy or preference? Hale's smile tightened. It's my professional judgment. Based on what criteria? Naomi asked. Her voice was calm, measured. Hale's jaw flexed. Based on my experience as a captain. I see, Naomi said. Can you show me the policy? Hale's face flushed slightly. Ma'am, I don't need to justify. I'm not asking you to justify, Naomi said. I'm asking you to document. The cabin had gone quiet. Passengers were listening now. Some pretended not to. Some stared openly. Elena stood frozen. She was trained to protect the captain's authority, not question it. Hale leaned on his uniform. He wore it deliberately. It was proof. It was power. I'm going to ask you one more time to move, he said. His voice was firmer now. We have a schedule to keep. Naomi gathered her folder. She stood slowly. Her movements were precise. I'll move, she said, but I'm requesting this be documented. Hale's expression hardened. That won't be necessary. It is to me, Naomi said. Elena felt the moment tilt. This wasn't about a seat anymore. It was about who got to define reality. Hale's eyes swept the cabin. He was looking for support, validation, agreement. Donnelly nodded slightly. Other passengers looked away. Elena, Hale said. Help this passenger relocate. Elena's throat tightened. Yes, Captain. She stepped forward. She felt the weight of complicity settling on her shoulders. Naomi followed her down the aisle. Each step felt louder than it should have. The cabin watched. Some faces held sympathy. Some held nothing at all. Hale returned to the cockpit. He closed the door firmly. Elena stopped at the back row. I'm sorry, she whispered. Naomi sat down. She placed her folder on her lap. Are you? Elena didn't answer. She couldn't. Naomi followed Elena down the aisle. Each step echoed louder than it should have in a plane full of strangers. People stared. Then they looked away. They wanted to stay innocent. Donnelly's satisfied expression flickered in Naomi's peripheral vision. She felt the old lesson rising. Humiliation was always presented as no big deal. Elena walked with stiff shoulders. She offered apologies, shaped deliberately. I'm sorry about this, she said softly. It's just what? Naomi asked. Her voice was quiet, not angry, just present. Elena didn't answer. She stopped at the last row. Here. Naomi looked at the seat. It was smaller. The legroom was tight. The window was scratched. She sat down. She folded her hands. Her face remained composed. But something inside her shifted, from endurance to intent. Elena hovered. Can I get you anything? Water? A pillow? Documentation, Naomi said. Elena blinked. Excuse me? I want this seat change documented, Naomi said, in the incident log, with the captain's name and reason. Elena's eyes widened. Documentation meant accountability. Documentation meant risk. That might cause trouble, Elena whispered. Trouble already exists, Naomi said gently. I'm simply refusing to carry it alone. Elena's breath caught. She looked toward the cockpit, then back at Naomi. I'll see what I can do, she said. Thank you, Naomi said. Elena walked away. Her posture had changed. Fear had found a rival. Naomi opened her leather folder, just enough to reveal a photograph. An older black man beside an aircraft. His coveralls were clean. His smile was proud. She touched the photograph with careful fingers. Her father had built planes. He had mastered systems. But the world had treated him as disposable anyway. She would not be disposable, not tonight. Not quietly. She closed the folder. She looked out the scratched window. The tarmac stretched dark and cold. Inside the cabin, passengers were settling, adjusting, forgetting. But Naomi was remembering. She was calculating. She was deciding. She pressed the call button. It lit up red against the white panel. Elena appeared moments later. Her face was cautious. Yes, she said. I need to speak with the captain, Naomi said, before we depart. Elena's face paled. I'm not sure It's necessary, Naomi said. Her voice was firm but not harsh. Please. Elena nodded slowly. She walked toward the cockpit. Her hands trembled slightly. Naomi watched her knock. She watched the door open. She watched Elena speak words Naomi couldn't hear. The door closed again. Elena returned. He says everything is resolved, Elena said quietly. Naomi smiled. It was not a happy smile. Then he misunderstands the situation. Naomi pressed the call button again, not to complain loudly, to speak with Elena in a way that required attention. Elena arrived quickly. Her professional smile was strained. Yes, ma'am, she said. I need this seat change documented, Naomi said, in the incident log, with Captain Hale's name and the reason he gave. Elena glanced around. Other passengers were listening now, pretending not to, but listening. Ma'am, that's not typically how you handle discrimination, Naomi asked. Her voice was calm. Clinical. Elena flinched. I didn't say... You didn't have to, Naomi said. I'm asking for documentation, that's all. Elena's hands twisted together. It might cause trouble. For whom? Naomi asked. Elena didn't answer. The truth sat between them. Trouble for Elena? Trouble for the captain? Trouble for everyone except the person who was wronged. I understand what it costs to speak, Naomi said gently. I'm not asking you to speak. I'm asking you to write. Elena felt the distinction. Writing was evidence. Writing was permanent. I'll request it, Elena said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Thank you, Naomi said. Elena walked away. Her posture had changed again. Something in her spine was straightening. She approached the cockpit door. She hesitated. Her hand hovered over the surface. She knocked. The door opened. Captain Hale stood there. His expression was impatient. What now? He asked. The passenger in 24F, Elena said. She's requesting documentation of the seat change. Hale's face hardened. Absolutely not. Captain, she's insisting. I don't care what she's insisting, Hale said. This is my aircraft. My decision. End of discussion. He closed the door. Elena stood alone in the galley. Her heart pounded. Her hands shook. She felt the weight of every choice she'd avoided in her career. She walked back to Naomi. He refused. Naomi nodded. She had expected that. Then I'll need to speak with operations. Elena's eyes widened. Ma'am, we're about to depart. Then they should hurry, Naomi said. Elena felt something shift in her chest. Not anger. Something quieter. Something stronger. She walked to the phone. She called the gate. Her voice was steady. We have a situation, she said. Passenger requesting formal incident report. Captain declined. Need supervisor on board. She hung up. She looked at Naomi. Their eyes met. Naomi nodded once, a small gesture of solidarity. Elena had crossed the line. She felt it. She couldn't uncross it now. Captain Hale emerged from the cockpit. He strolled as if he owned the air itself. Merry Christmas, everyone, he announced. His voice was warm, confident. We'll be departing shortly. He walked down the aisle slowly. He stopped at Naomi's row. Everything resolved? He asked. His smile was polished. It looked deliberate. Naomi met his gaze. Her expression was steady. No, Captain. It's not resolved. It's recorded. Hale's smile flickered. Excuse me? I've requested documentation, Naomi said. With your name, your reason, the policy you cited. Hale's jaw tightened. Ma'am, I don't appreciate being moved for no documented reason, Naomi said. Her voice was calm, measured. Yet here we are. The cabin was listening again. Passengers had their phones out now. Some were recording. Hale's face flushed. This is unnecessary. Then you should have no objection to documentation, Naomi said. Hale's eyes swept the cabin. He was looking for support, validation. Donnelly nodded. A few other passengers looked sympathetic to Hale, but others looked uncomfortable, as if they were seeing something they couldn't unsee. Elena stood nearby. She heard the exchange. She felt the moral line sharpen under her feet. Hale leaned closer to Naomi. His voice dropped. Are you trying to cause a problem? No, Naomi said. I'm trying to document one. Hale's hands clenched. I've been flying for 30 years. Then you should know policy, Naomi said. Hale's face darkened. He straightened. He looked at Elena. Get this plane ready for departure, he said. His voice was sharp. Now. Yes, Captain, Elena said quietly. Hale walked back to the cockpit. His stride was stiff. His shoulders were rigid. He entered the cockpit. The door closed firmly. Elena remained frozen in the aisle. She couldn't pretend she saw nothing anymore. She walked to the back galley. She picked up the phone. She called operations again. This isn't resolved, she said. The captain is refusing documentation. The passenger is insisting. Someone needs to come. She hung up. She looked at Naomi through the galley curtain. Naomi sat very still. Her hands were folded. Her face was composed. But Elena saw something else now. Not anger, not defeat. Determination. The flight was delayed again. The announcement crackled overhead. Passengers groaned. Naomi sat in the back row. She felt the limbo between gate and sky. The cabin's discomfort turned into emotional pressure. Elena approached her. She held a small bottle of water. Complimentary, she said quietly. Naomi accepted it. Thank you. I can also offer miles, Elena said, or a drink, anything to make this more comfortable. Naomi shook her head gently. I don't want comfort. I want truth and policy. Elena's throat tightened. I understand. Do you? Naomi asked, not unkindly, just honestly. Elena looked down. She didn't know how to answer. At the gate, Tanya Brooks stared through the window. She watched the plane. Something was tugging at her memory. That passenger. That woman. She had seen her before. Tanya pulled up the passenger manifest on her screen. She scanned the names. Naomi Carter. Tanya's breath caught. She remembered now. The scholarship gala. The name spoken with reverence. The woman who owned half the planes in this airport. Her hands trembled. She picked up the phone. "Operations," a voice answered. "This is Gate 42, Tanya said. Her voice shook. I think that passenger is Naomi Carter." The line went quiet. "Are you certain?" the voice asked. "Yes," Tanya said. "I recognized her. She was at the aviation gala, the scholarship fund. She's—" "Don't say another word," the voice said. "We're sending someone now." The line went dead. Tanya stared at the plane. She felt fear and pride tangled together. She had told the truth. It might cost her, but she had told it. Inside the cabin, Naomi sat very still. She had made her decision. If the system required her silence to function, then the system would have to hear her voice. She opened her leather folder one more time. She looked at her father's photograph. He had taught her dignity. He had taught her precision. He had taught her that silence was sometimes survival. But tonight, silence would be something else. Complicity. She closed the folder. She looked out the window. The airport lights blurred against the dark. She felt exhausted. She felt resolved. She would not be moved again. Not without the truth being recorded. Not without accountability. Elena watched her from the galley. She felt something shifting inside herself. Something long buried. The choice between safety and truth. Between complicity and courage. She didn't know which she would choose yet, but she felt the question forming. The phone rang in the galley. Elena answered. "Operations is boarding," the voice said. "Do not allow departure." Elena hung up. She looked at Naomi. Their eyes met across the cabin. A silent acknowledgement. The battle had begun. Operations staff boarded with clipped smiles and nervous eyes. They scanned the cabin carefully. Their gazes caught on Naomi. Recognition became fear. A woman in a navy blazer approached. Her name tag read, "Susan Drake, Customer Relations." Her smile was professional. Tight. "Ms. Carter?" she asked quietly. Naomi looked up. "Yes." "May we speak privately?" Susan asked. "In the jet bridge? More comfortable." "No," Naomi said. Her voice was calm. "It wasn't private when I was moved. It won't be private now." Susan's smile strained. "I understand your frustration." "Do you?" Naomi asked. Susan glanced at Elena, at the other passengers. Everyone was watching now. "We want to make this right," Susan said. She lowered her voice. "Perhaps we could discuss compensation." "I don't want compensation," Naomi said. "I want documentation, policy, accountability." Susan's face tightened. "Ms. Carter, if we could just—" "You could document what happened," Naomi said. "That's all I'm asking." Susan straightened. She looked toward the cockpit, then back at Naomi. "I'll need to make a call," she said. "Then make it," Naomi said. Susan walked toward the jet bridge. Her phone was already at her ear. Elena stood in the galley. She heard the entire exchange. She felt dread and relief tangled together. Someone was finally naming what everyone preferred to blur. Donnelly shifted in his seat. He looked uncomfortable now. The situation he had enjoyed was changing shape. Other passengers whispered. Some looked sympathetic. Some looked annoyed at the delay. But no one looked away anymore. Susan returned minutes later. Her face was pale. "We're investigating," she said carefully. "But this will take time." "I have time," Naomi said. Susan nodded. She walked off the plane. Her shoulders were hunched. Elena watched her go. She felt something loosening in her chest. The truth was out now. It couldn't be hidden. Naomi sat very still. Her hands were folded. Her breathing was steady. She had forced them to see her, not as a problem, as a person. The cabin door remained open. No one was departing. Not yet. Elena was summoned to the forward galley. A supervisor stood there. His expression was serious. "Tell me what happened," he said. Elena felt the old pressure. Protect the captain. Protect the brand. Protect your future. "The captain asked a passenger to move seats," Elena said carefully. "Why?" the supervisor asked. "He said balance and comfort," Elena said. "Did it seem necessary?" the supervisor asked. "Operationally?" Elena hesitated. This was the moment. The off line. "No," she said quietly. "It didn't." The supervisor's face tightened. "Did he cite policy?" "The passenger asked for policy," Elena said. "He said it was his professional judgment." "And you agreed with that judgment?" the supervisor asked. Elena's throat went dry. "I followed orders." "That's not what I asked," the supervisor said. Elena looked down. Her hands trembled. "No, I didn't agree." The supervisor wrote something on his tablet. His stylus moved quickly. "Did the passenger cause a disturbance?" he asked. "No," Elena said. "She was calm, respectful. She just asked for documentation." "And the captain's response?" the supervisor asked. Elena felt sick. Telling the truth might make her the problem in their eyes, but silence would make her something worse. "He refused," Elena said. "He closed the cockpit door." The supervisor nodded. He wrote more. "Thank you, Elena." "Am I in trouble?" Elena asked. Her voice was small. The supervisor looked at her. His expression softened slightly. "You told the truth. That's never wrong." But his tone suggested it might be costly anyway. Elena returned to the cabin. She looked at Naomi. Their eyes met. Naomi's expression held no judgment, no demand, just quiet acknowledgement. Elena realized then that Naomi was offering her a choice, not using her as a weapon. That made everything harder and clearer. Donnelly leaned into the chaos with smug confidence. He turned to the passenger beside him. "Some people know how to cause drama," he said. His voice carried. The passenger said nothing. She looked uncomfortable. Naomi heard him. She didn't turn. She didn't respond. She kept her eyes forward. Elena moved through the cabin. She checked overhead bins. She refilled drinks. She felt Donnelly's words hanging in the air. She stopped at Naomi's row. "Can I get you anything?" she asked quietly. "No, thank you," Naomi said. Then, softer, "I know what it costs to speak." Elena's eyes filled. The gentleness unsettled her more than anger would have. "I'm sorry," Elena whispered. "Don't be sorry," Naomi said. "Be honest." Elena nodded. She walked away. Her chest felt tight. Donnelly's self-satisfaction began to look less deliberate. Strength and more like dependence on a rigged order. Other passengers noticed. They saw Naomi's restraint. They saw Donnelly's smugness. The contrast made them uncomfortable. A woman across the aisle spoke quietly to her husband. "She didn't do anything wrong," she said. Her husband nodded. "I know." Donnelly received a message on his phone. He frowned. His confidence wavered. The situation he enjoyed was shifting beyond his control. Naomi sat very still. Her breathing was steady. She felt exhausted but focused. She wasn't fighting for spectacle. She was fighting for documentation. For truth. Elena returned to the galley. She picked up the phone. She called operations again. "This needs to be formal," she said. "Official, on record." "We're working on it," the voice said. "Work faster," Elena said. She surprised herself with the firmness. She hung up. She looked at her reflection in the galley mirror. Who was she becoming? Who had she always been under the uniform? The questions sat heavy in her chest. Naomi pulled out her phone. She dialed a number she knew by heart. Marcus Lane answered on the second ring. "Naomi?" "Marcus," she said. Her voice was measured, controlled. "What's wrong?" he asked. He knew her tones. He heard the weight. "I need you at the airport," Naomi said. "There's been an incident." "Are you safe?" Marcus asked. "Not legal. Personal." Naomi paused. "Yes, but I was made unsafe in a way that doesn't leave bruises." Marcus was silent for a moment. Then, "Tell me." Naomi described the seat change, the captain's refusal, the lack of policy, the delayed departure. Marcus listened without interrupting. "I'm on my way," he said. "Don't sign anything, don't accept anything." "I'm not accepting compensation," Naomi said. "I want consequences that heal, not consequences that thrill." "I understand," Marcus said. His voice was steady. "We'll handle this right." "Marcus," Naomi said. "No cruelty." "Never," Marcus said. "Just accountability." Naomi ended the call. She placed her phone on the seat beside her. Elena had watched from the galley. She saw Naomi's face, the exhaustion, the resolve. She understood now. True power didn't announce itself. It organized itself. Susan returned to the plane. She approached Naomi carefully. "We're preparing a formal incident report," she said. "It will take some time." "I'll wait," Naomi said. Susan nodded. She walked away quickly. The cabin felt suspended. Everyone was waiting now, for resolution, for departure, for something. Naomi stared out the window. The tarmac lights looked distant, cold. They reminded her of stars. She thought of her father, his careful hands, his quiet dignity, the way he had taught her to document everything. "Leave a trail," he had said. "Truth needs evidence." She was leaving a trail now, a clear one. Elena brought her water without being asked. She set it down gently. "Thank you," Naomi said. "No," Elena whispered. "Thank you." Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Understanding. Solidarity. The battle was far from over, but they were no longer fighting it alone. Captain Hale received a message from operations. He read it in the cockpit. His face hardened. He stood. He straightened his uniform. He stepped into the cabin with renewed authority. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced. His voice was loud, clear. "We apologize for the delay. There's been a misunderstanding." He looked directly at Naomi. His smile was tight. "Some confusion about seating procedures," he continued. "Nothing that can't be resolved quickly if everyone cooperates." Naomi felt the implication. If she cooperated, if she stopped causing problems. She stood slowly. "Captain Hale," she said. Her voice was calm. "It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. Your decision." The cabin went quiet. Passengers stopped their conversations. Hale's smile strained. "Ma'am, I don't think you understand." "I understand perfectly," Naomi said. "You ordered me to move seats. You cited balance and comfort. You refused to document your reasoning. That's not misunderstanding, that's choice." Hale's face flushed. "I was ensuring passenger safety." "Which policy requires moving a seated passenger for safety?" Naomi asked. "Please cite it." Hale's jaw clenched. "I've been a captain for 30 years. "Then you should know policy by heart," Naomi said. Hale leaned on his uniform deliberately. It was proof. It was power. It had always worked before. "I don't need to justify my professional judgment to you," he said. His voice was harder now. "No," Naomi said. "You need to justify it to your employer, to the FAA, to documentation." Donnelly shifted uncomfortably. Other passengers watched with wide eyes. Elena stood frozen. She felt the moment tilt. This wasn't about a seat anymore. It was about who got to define reality. Hale's hands clenched. "You're being unreasonable." I'm being precise, Naomi said. There's a difference. Hale looked around the cabin. He was looking for support, for validation, for someone to agree that he was the victim here. But passengers looked away. Even Donnelly said nothing. Hale's face darkened. We're not departing until this is resolved, he said. His voice was loud, angry now. Then resolve it, Naomi said. Document what happened. Answer for your choices. Hale turned sharply. He walked toward the cockpit. His stride was stiff, his shoulders rigid. He reached the door. He opened it. He entered. The door slammed shut, harder than necessary. The sound echoed through the cabin. Elena felt her breath catch. She had never seen a captain lose control deliberately. Not obviously. The mask was slipping. And everyone could see it. Tanya was pulled into a small office near the gate. Two managers sat across from her. Their expressions were careful. Tell us what you saw, the first manager said. Her voice was neutral. Tanya's hands trembled. I saw a passenger board, then I recognized her. Who? The second manager asked. Naomi Carter, Tanya said. Her voice shook. She's the aviation investor, the scholarship fund. She was at the gala. The managers exchanged glances. Their faces were tight. Why did you call operations? The first manager asked. Tanya swallowed hard. Because I saw her being moved, and I couldn't stand watching someone be treated as disposable. The second manager leaned forward. Did she ask you to call? No, Tanya said. She doesn't even know I did. Then why? The first manager asked. Her tone was sharper now. Tanya felt tears building. She fought them back. Because it was wrong, and I was tired of pretending I didn't see wrong things. The managers were silent. They looked at each other. Some unspoken conversation passed between them. You understand this complicates things, the second manager said. I understand, Tanya said. Her voice was steadier now. But staying quiet would have complicated me. The first manager wrote something on her tablet. You'll need to file a formal statement. I will, Tanya said. It might affect your employment, the second manager said. People don't like witnesses. Tanya felt fear rise high in her throat. She was underpaid, overworked, replaceable. But she also felt something else, something warm, something she rarely allowed herself at work. Pride. I'll file the statement, she said again. Firmer this time. The managers nodded. They dismissed her with tight smiles. Tanya walked back to the gate. She looked through the window at the plane. It sat there, heavy and still. Inside that plane, someone was fighting for dignity, for truth, for the right to be treated as human. Tanya had joined that fight. She had chosen truth over safety. Her hands still trembled, but her spine felt straighter than it had in years. She returned to her desk. She began typing her statement. Her fingers moved carefully. Precisely. She documented everything. The boarding, the recognition, the call, the reasons. She felt Naomi's calm influencing her from across the tarmac. Restraint, precision, dignity. She finished typing. She submitted the form. It was done. She couldn't take it back now. She didn't want to. An airline executive arrived. His suit was expensive. His expression was strained. He approached Naomi's seat carefully. Ms. Carter, he said quietly. I'm David Chen, Senior Vice President. Naomi looked up. Mr. Chen. May we speak privately? He asked. Perhaps in our VIP lounge? No, Naomi said. Her voice was gentle but firm. What needs to be said can be said here. Chen glanced around the cabin. Passengers were watching, recording. We want to make this right, he said. His voice was low. Immediate compensation, upgrades, a formal apology. From whom? Naomi asked. Chen hesitated. From the airline, from me, from Captain Hale? Naomi asked. Chen's face tightened. That's complicated. Why? Naomi asked. Chen lowered his voice further. Miss Carter, you understand the position this puts us in? No, Naomi said. I understand the position Captain Hale put you in. By moving me without policy, without reason, without accountability. Chen's posture changed. Recognition had arrived. But Naomi saw the truth in his shift. Respect had arrived not because she was wronged, because she was wealthy. Elena watched from the galley. She felt sick. The airline cared now, but only because Naomi's name carried weight. Naomi saw it too. Sadness crossed her face. It was older than this moment. Mr. Chen, she said quietly, my identity is not the point. The point is what Captain Hale felt free to do before he knew who I was. Chen swallowed hard. I understand. Do you? Naomi asked. How many other passengers has he moved? How many who didn't have my resources? Chen said nothing. The question hung in the air. That's what needs to be addressed, Naomi said. Not my comfort. The pattern, the practice, the policy that allows this. Elena felt something shift in her chest. Naomi wasn't fighting for herself alone. She was fighting for everyone. Chen nodded slowly. We'll need to address this formally, he said. Full investigation. Documented review. Yes, Naomi said. You will. Chen's face was pale. This will take time. I have time, Naomi said. Chen walked away. His steps were heavy. He looked older than when he arrived. The cabin felt different now. The truth was named. The power structure was exposed. Naomi's identity had forced them to listen, but her words had forced them to see. Naomi was offered immediate restitution, first-class upgrades, compensation, personal apologies. Chen stood beside her seat. His tone was conciliatory. We want to make this right, Ms. Carter. Then document it, Naomi said. Of course, Chen said quickly. Full incident report, captain's statement, crew interviews, and consequences? Naomi asked. Chen hesitated. That's under review. Not good enough, Naomi said. Chen shifted his weight. These processes take time. Due process. Union considerations. I understand process, Naomi said. Her voice was calm. I'm asking for commitment, to change, to accountability. You have my word, Chen said. Naomi looked at him steadily. Your word isn't policy. Put it in writing. Chen nodded. We will. For a brief moment, the cabin exhaled. Relief washed through the passengers. The discomfort might dissolve now. No one would have to change. Everything could return to normal. Susan approached. We're cleared for departure, she said. Captain Hale will be flying as scheduled. Excuse me? Naomi said. Her voice sharpened. He's still qualified, Susan said quickly. Still certified, until the investigation concludes. Naomi felt anger rise. She pushed it down. So he moves me, refuses documentation, and faces no immediate consequence? It's procedure, Susan said. Her voice was apologetic but firm. Procedure, Naomi repeated. The word tasted bitter. Elena stood nearby. She heard the exchange. She felt hope draining away. The system would protect Hale. It always did. Once they were in the air, away from witnesses, everything would return to normal. Chen stepped in. Ms. Carter, I assure you. Assurances aren't accountability, Naomi said. But the plane was moving, pushing back from the gate. The engines hummed to life. They were departing. The incident was handled. The system had absorbed the disruption. Hale's voice came over the intercom. Smooth, warm, professional. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're ready for takeoff. Elena watched Naomi's face. She saw the exhaustion, the disappointment. They had won something, but not enough. The plane taxied toward the runway. The cabin lights dimmed. Naomi stared out the window. The airport lights blurred past. She had forced them to listen, but listening wasn't the same as changing. The false victory tasted deliberately empty. In flight, the cabin lights dimmed. The quiet made everything feel more intimate, more exposed. Elena served Rose with a new awareness. She noticed how passengers treated her. Their tone, their dismissiveness, the way they snapped fingers or spoke without looking up. She had once passed that treatment forward. She had protected those above her by ignoring those beside her. Naomi sat in the back row. Her posture was composed, but the earlier humiliation lingered under her skin. Hale's voice came over the intercom. "Folks, we've reached our cruising altitude. Sit back and enjoy the flight." His tone was smooth, warm, performing care while refusing accountability. Elena felt her stomach turn. The false victory was real. The system had simply postponed consequences. A passenger in row 12 snapped at her. "Where's my drink?" "Coming right now, sir," Elena said. The man didn't thank her. He turned away before she finished speaking. Elena delivered the drink. She moved to the next row. Her hands trembled slightly. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text message from operations. She stepped into the galley to read it. "Do not discuss incident with passengers. Standard procedure during investigation." Elena's breath caught. They were silencing her. Gently, professionally, but silencing her nonetheless. She looked down the aisle at Naomi. Their eyes met across the distance. Naomi's expression held no judgment, just quiet understanding. Elena felt isolated suddenly, aware that morality didn't come with health insurance, that speaking truth could cost her everything. She pocketed her phone. Her hands were shaking now. The cabin felt smaller. The air felt thinner. The silence felt thick with things unsaid. A flight attendant from first class entered the galley. "You okay?" she asked. "Fine," Elena said. "Heard about the situation," the other attendant said quietly. "Messy." "Yeah," Elena said. "Best to stay out of it," the other attendant said. "Captains always win these things." Elena said nothing. The words sat heavy in her chest. The other attendant left. Elena stood alone in the galley. She thought about Naomi's calm, her precision, her refusal to accept comfort as a substitute for justice. She thought about her own silence. How many times she had looked away. How many times she had protected authority instead of people. She stepped out of the galley. She walked down the aisle. She stopped at Naomi's row. "Can I get you anything?" she asked. Naomi looked up. "No, thank you." Elena hesitated. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be sorry," Naomi said gently. "Be brave." Elena felt tears building. She blinked them back. She nodded once. She walked away. Her heart was pounding. Her choice was forming. Elena was called to the forward galley by the purser. Mark was older, experienced. He had seen everything. "Sit down," he said. His voice was kind. That made it worse. Elena sat, her hands folded in her lap. "You gave a statement," Mark said, "about the captain." "Yes," Elena said. Mark sighed. "Elena, I've been flying for 25 years. I've seen these situations before." "Okay," Elena said quietly. "Contradicting a captain," Mark said carefully. "It can follow you. Transfer requests, shift assignments, performance reviews." Elena felt cold. "Are you threatening me?" "No," Mark said quickly. "I'm warning you. As a friend." "What's the difference?" Elena asked. Mark looked uncomfortable. "The captain has union representation, seniority, connections. You're..." "Replaceable," Elena finished. Mark didn't deny it. I'm just saying. Think carefully about what's worth fighting for. Elena stared at him. Dignity is worth fighting for. Your dignity or someone else's? Mark asked, not unkindly, just practically. Elena felt the question land. It was the question she had avoided her whole career. When did she matter enough to risk something? When did someone else? Both, she said quietly. Mark shook his head. You're going to make this harder on yourself. Maybe, Elena said, but I'm already tired of easy. Mark stood. I tried, he said. He sounded genuinely sorry. Elena returned to the cabin. She felt shaky, exposed. She walked past Naomi's row. She didn't stop. She couldn't look at her yet. She stepped into the rear lavatory. She locked the door. She stared at her reflection. Her face looked older than it should. Tired. Worn down by small compromises. She thought about Mark's warning. It was true. Captains won these fights. They always did. But Naomi's voice echoed in her mind. Courage isn't loud. It's just honest. Elena felt tears slip down her cheeks, not from guilt alone, from relief. Someone had finally given her permission. Not to be perfect, just to be honest. She wiped her face. She took a breath. She unlocked the door. She stepped back into the cabin. She walked to Naomi's row. I'm going to tell the truth, she said quietly. All of it, whatever it costs. Naomi looked up. Her eyes were warm. Thank you. Elena nodded. She felt lighter suddenly, as if a weight had lifted. The cost would come. She knew that. But the freedom had already arrived. Naomi requested a conversation with Elena. Not to persuade, to clarify what mattered. Elena sat in the empty seat beside her. The cabin was quiet now. Most passengers were sleeping. You don't have to do this, Naomi said softly. I don't want you to lose your job because of me. It's not because of you, Elena said. It's because of me. Naomi smiled slightly. Still, I need you to understand what this is. What is it? Elena asked. I've spent my whole life, Naomi said slowly, watching people soften truth into politeness, watching comfort replace justice, watching silence become complicity. Elena listened. She didn't interrupt. My father was an aircraft mechanic, Naomi continued. Brilliant, precise. He could diagnose an engine by sound alone. He sounds amazing, Elena said. He was, Naomi said, but the world treated him as disposable. They used his hands. They dismissed his dignity. They paid him as little as they could. Elena felt her throat tighten. He taught me something, Naomi said. Aircraft are built by unseen hands. Dignity is built the same way, through choices no one applauds. I understand, Elena said. Do you? Naomi asked gently. Because this won't be applauded. You'll be called difficult, troublesome. You'll lose opportunities. I know, Elena said. Her voice shook. But I'm more afraid of who I'll become if I stay silent. Naomi reached over. She touched Elena's hand briefly. Courage isn't loud, she said. It's just honest. Elena's eyes filled. I'm scared. Good, Naomi said. Fear means you understand the stakes. Courage is choosing truth anyway. Elena wiped her eyes. What if it doesn't matter? What if they protect him and nothing changes? It always matters, Naomi said. Even when it doesn't win, especially then. The plane hit turbulence suddenly. The cabin shook. Passengers stirred. Elena gripped the armrest. The physical storm echoed the moral one she was entering. I'm with you, she said to Naomi. Whatever happens. Naomi nodded. Then we'll face it together. The turbulence passed. The cabin settled. But something had shifted between them. Not friendship exactly. Something deeper. Solidarity. Two women. Different worlds. Same fight. Elena stood. She walked back to the galley. Her hands were steady now. She knew what was coming. The investigation, the pressure, the retaliation. But she also knew who she was choosing to be. Not perfect, not fearless, just honest. The plane landed with a gentle thud. Passengers applauded. The flight was over. Hale disembarked first. He greeted ground crew with easy warmth. He smiled at gate agents. He performed normalcy. Elena watched him. She felt the old hierarchy snap back into place. On the ground, power returned to its familiar grooves. Captains were captains. Flight attendants were replaceable. Naomi was directed toward a quiet lounge. VIP handling, Susan said. Her tone was apologetic but firm. The separation threatened to erase the public truth again. Hide the injury, protect the image. Elena stood at the threshold. She felt complicity rising around her deliberately. Invisible bonds. She could walk away now. File nothing. Forget it. Keep her job, keep her safety. Naomi looked back once from the doorway. Not pleading. Not demanding. Simply present. Elena understood. This was the moment. The choice that would define everything after. She thought of Marx. Warning. Captains always won. The system protected them. She thought of her own reflection in the lavatory mirror. Tired, worn, compromised. She thought of Naomi's father, building planes with unseen hands, dignity in invisible work. Silence would become a lifelong weight. She felt it already, pressing on her chest. "Wait," Elena called out. Susan turned. "Yes?" "I need to file a formal statement," Elena said. Her voice was shaking but clear. "Immediately, on record, with names and times." Susan's face hardened. "Are you certain?" "Yes," Elena said. "This could affect your career," Susan said carefully. "You understand that?" "I understand," Elena said, "but staying silent would affect my soul." Susan looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Follow me." Elena walked toward the office. Her legs felt weak. Her heart pounded. Naomi fell into step beside her. Their shoulders nearly touched. "Thank you," Naomi said quietly. "Don't thank me yet," Elena whispered. "I don't know if I'm brave or stupid." "You're human," Naomi said. "That's enough." They entered a small office. Fluorescent lights, no windows, a table, chairs. The room felt deliberately. Final. This was where truth would either take root or die. Elena sat down. She folded her hands. She looked at the HR representative across from her. "I'm ready," she said. "Let's begin." A formal meeting was convened in the small office. Naomi sat on one side of the table, Elena beside her. Tanya was brought in moments later. Across from them sat David Chen, the airline executive, an HR representative named Patricia, and a union representative who looked bored. Captain Hale waited outside. Elena could hear his voice through the door. Confident, casual. Chen cleared his throat. "Let's begin with your account, Miss Carter." Naomi spoke calmly. She described the boarding, the seat assignment, Hale's approach, the order to move. She detailed his words. Balance and comfort, his refusal to cite policy, his refusal to document. Her voice was steady. She didn't embellish. She didn't exaggerate. The simplicity made it impossible to dismiss. Chen took notes. Patricia typed on her tablet. "Ms. Brooks?" Chen said. He looked at Tanya. Tanya's voice shook, but she spoke clearly. "I saw Ms. Carter board. I recognized her from the gala. I watched the plane from the gate. Something felt wrong, so I called operations." "Why?" Chen asked. "Because I couldn't stand watching someone be treated as disposable," Tanya said. Tears filled her eyes. "Not again." Patricia wrote something down. Her expression was unreadable. "Ms. Price?" Chen said. He turned to Elena. Elena felt everyone's eyes on her. This was it. The moment she couldn't take back. She delivered her statement. She described Hale's order. Naomi's calm request for policy. Hale's refusal. The second confrontation. His anger. Did the captain cite any legitimate operational reason? Patricia asked. No, Elena said, her hands clenched under the table. He said it was his professional judgment, but there was no safety issue, no policy, just preference. The union representative leaned forward. That's a serious accusation. It's what happened, Elena said. Chen asked for documentation. Patricia pulled up the incident log, the flight manifest, the seating chart. The absence of justification showed deliberately. A crack in glass. Chen's face tightened. This doesn't support the captain's account. What was his account? Naomi asked. Chen hesitated. He said there was a passenger complaint, that he was responding to operational necessity. Who complained? Naomi asked. Silence. There's no complaint on record, Patricia said quietly. The door opened. Captain Hale stepped in. He was still smiling, but when he saw the recorded statements on the table, his smile faltered. His eyes swept the room. He looked at Elena. His expression hardened. What is this? He asked. Your reckoning, Naomi said softly. Hale attempted charm first. He smiled at Chen. I'm sure we can clear this up quickly. Sit down, Captain, Chen said. His voice was flat. Hale sat. His confidence wavered slightly. Chen slid the statements across the table. These accounts don't match yours. Hale scanned them quickly. His jaw tightened. This is taken out of context. What context? Naomi asked. Her voice was calm. Clear. Hale looked at her, then at Elena. There was a complaint. From whom? Patricia asked. Hale hesitated. A passenger. I don't recall the name. There's no complaint on record, Patricia said. Hale shifted tactics. It was about weight distribution, safety. The aircraft wasn't full, Chen said. Weight distribution wasn't an issue. Hale's face flushed. I made a judgment call. Based on what? Naomi asked. Hale looked at her. His mask was slipping. Based on my experience, would you have moved me? Naomi asked quietly. If you thought I owned the plane? The room went silent. The question stripped everything away. Hale opened his mouth, closed it. He cycled through responses. Wounded pride, authority, indignation. That's not relevant, he said finally. It's the only relevant question, Naomi said. Everything else is excuse. Hale's hands clenched. I've been flying for 30 years. And in 30 years, Naomi said, how many black passengers have you moved for balance and comfort? Hale's face drained of color. I don't keep track of... Exactly, Naomi said. You don't have to, because no one holds you accountable. Elena watched Hale's face. She saw the truth dawning on him. He had believed his own story, his own righteousness, but the documentation didn't support him. The witnesses didn't support him. The policy didn't support him. He was alone with his choices. I was ensuring passenger comfort, Hale said. His voice was quieter now. That's my job. Whose comfort? Naomi asked. Mine? Or Mr. Donnelly's? Hale said nothing. Chen leaned forward. Captain, I'm going to ask you directly. Was race a factor in your decision? No, Hale said quickly. Too quickly. Absolutely not. Then what was the factor? Chen asked. Hale had no answer. His reasons kept shifting. The story he told himself was collapsing. Naomi's voice remained calm. I'm not asking for cruelty, she said. I'm asking for consequences that are structured and humane. She looked at Chen. Formal reprimand, mandatory bias training, policy reinforcement, protection for employees who report this behavior. Hale's face went pale. You're trying to destroy my career. No, Naomi said. I'm trying to hold it accountable. Chen closed his folder. Captain Hale, you're being removed from flight duty pending full investigation. Hale flinched. Not from humiliation. From the shock of being held to account. For 30 years, the uniform had protected him. The system had protected him. Not anymore. The airline executive informed Hale he was suspended pending investigation. Hale's face went white. This is excessive, Hale said. His voice cracked slightly. It's procedure, Chen said. Not unkindly, just firmly. Hale stood. His legs were unsteady. He looked at Elena. His expression held betrayal, anger. Elena met his eyes. She didn't look away. Hale walked to the door. His shoulders were hunched. He looked smaller now, older. He paused at the threshold. I never meant, he started. Yes, you did, Naomi said quietly. You just never thought you'd have to answer for it. Hale left. The door closed behind him. Elena expected Naomi to celebrate, to demand headlines, to make this public and painful. But Naomi sat very still. Her face showed no satisfaction, no triumph. That's not victory, Elena whispered. No, Naomi agreed, but it's justice. Chen cleared his throat. Ms. Carter, what outcome are you seeking? Naomi folded her hands. Written commitment. Policy changes that protect passengers like me, even when they're not rich. Chen nodded. We can do that. Mandatory bias training for all crew, Naomi continued. Not punishment, education. Agreed, Chen said. And protection, Naomi said. She looked at Elena, then at Tanya. For employees who report misconduct, no retaliation, no career penalties. Tanya's breath caught. She wiped her eyes. Really? Really, Naomi said. She looked at Chen. Can you commit to that? Chen hesitated. It's complicated. So is dignity, Naomi said. But you'll find a way. Chen nodded slowly. We will. In writing. Elena felt a wave of relief so intense it bordered on grief. Relief for all the times she hadn't spoken. Grief for all the times she could have. Tanya wept quietly. Not because Naomi had power, because Naomi used it to widen protection rather than narrow it. Thank you, Tanya whispered. Don't thank me, Naomi said gently. Thank yourself. You chose truth when it cost you. Patricia handed Naomi a document. Initial draft of commitments. Will finalize within 48 hours. Naomi read it carefully. She made notes in the margins. She handed it back. Acceptable, she said. With these additions. Chen read her notes. He nodded. Done. The meeting concluded. Naomi stood. Elena stood beside her. They walked out of the office together. The terminal lights were bright. Christmas decorations hung from the ceiling. The world looked the same. But something had shifted. Elena turned to Naomi. What you did in there? What we did, Naomi corrected. I've never seen justice that gentle, Elena said. Justice doesn't require cruelty, Naomi said. It requires truth, witnesses, and systems willing to face what they've protected. They walked toward the exit, side by side, not behind, beside. Two women who had chosen dignity over safety, truth over comfort. The cost would come later. The system would resist. Change would be slow. But tonight, they had moved something. Together. Naomi reached her destination as Christmas morning broke over the city. The streets were gray, the houses were sleepy, but she felt different inside the familiar world. She visited the small memorial plaque for her father. It was mounted at a community hangar. Old, weathered, often overlooked. She placed her hand on the cold metal. I didn't let them move my spirit, Dad, she whispered. Her phone buzzed. Marcus calling. It's done, he said. Airline is committed in writing. Policy review, crew protections, bias training, all of it. And the investigation? Naomi asked. Ongoing, Marcus said. But they're serious. This time. The follow-through matters more than the apology, Naomi said. I know, Marcus said. I'll make sure they remember that. Naomi ended the call. She stood at the hangar. She smelled motor oil and metal. Her father's world. Her phone buzzed again. A text from Elena. Thank you for not letting me hide. Naomi smiled. She typed back, Thank you for choosing truth. Another text from Tanya. I still have my job and my dignity because of you. Naomi replied, You had your dignity before I arrived. I just witnessed you claim it. She drove to the foundation office. She finalized the scholarship endowment in her father's name. The paperwork was ready. The funding was secure. She added a new line to the mission statement. Support for crew members who report discrimination. Because dignity, once defended, becomes a legacy. She signed the documents. She felt her father's presence, his careful hands, his quiet strength. The system had tried to move her, diminish her, silence her. But she had stood firm, not with cruelty, with precision. She had demanded not revenge but accountability, not spectacle but change, the flight attendant who found her courage, the gate agent who chose truth, the lawyer who fought without vengeance. They had all moved together, toward something better. Naomi left the office. The morning sun was brighter now. The streets were waking. She felt exhausted, bruised, but upright. She had not purchased respect. She had insisted on it, for everyone. The work would continue. Systems resisted change, but witnesses created momentum. And Naomi had learned something her father taught her long ago. Dignity isn't given. It's claimed. It's documented. It's defended. And when you defend it for yourself, you defend it for everyone who comes after. The scholarship would bear his name. The policy would protect others. The witnesses would remember. Truth had won, not loudly, not perfectly, but honestly. And that was enough.